So this is the miracle work. So we started today from out of time, and it's going to be quite a step to talk about something that has related to humanhood or anything like that. So the emotional involvement in listening to Christmas songs can be quite enormous, especially when you recognize what is happening with you, in you, and that in fact the glorification in the songs are referring to your glorification of the truth of who you are, the Christ being born in you, not anywhere else, in you. And first it looks like it is being born in like a barn, in a little thingy where you can put a baby in. It seems like this three-dimensional structure that your Christ is being born in, but in say it doesn't take long to realize that this is a resurrecting Christ, that the whole three-dimensional experience of the Christ is completely annihilated, literally like into the nothingness that it appeared to be in for just a moment. Now this is something that's so wonderful to see this, say, from out of time, which is with the miracle work, in fact, always this perspective, like looking from out of time into the dream and looking at the nothingness of it, not understanding anything it sees because it doesn't make any sense what you see. And so that's great. We're going to take a look at lesson 3, and that will tell us the same. So that's one thing. But what I'm actually want to continue on is like the whole idea of the belief that there is something here, like in the three-dimensional definition of ourselves, and the whole idea that there's something here, say, is confirmed every time that you think you see someone, like you think you see someone. And now the immensity of that mistake is off the charts, because whatever you see, it's not me. Like, you cannot see me. It's impossible that you see me. And because it's too immense to see. Like, it has nothing to do with perception any longer. It's impossible to see it. And that in itself saves you a lot of time if you realize what it actually entails. You know, it's like, don't even try it. You, with your perception, you see only that of me that you want to see. Now we're actually in the middle of the lesson of today. Like, you literally see what you want to see. And you call that by a name, you call that by a function, you call it by a status, you call it by an idol's name. But it has nothing to do with that one. So that is immense. That is so incredible, because it's like you have no idea of the grandiosity, like the grandeur, actually I should say, like the grandeur that is you. So yeah, that's where this has to do with. It's like the place where we find ourselves in chapter 15, for instance, is we're just about to entrance into the idea of littleness versus grandiosity. Let me see. Magnitude is called. Littleness versus magnitude. So to see me, literally as an example, like to see me as this figure that is talking to you, and you think that that is really me, is believing in littleness, is believing that that is your reality, because it only confirms your own way of how you see yourself. Now, this is why this whole chapter 15 is a chapter about the holy instant, because the holy instant is this one moment in which you release that idea about your brother, that you suddenly start to see beyond the definition that you gave and enter into a recognition of your wholeness, or a recognition of the immensity of creation. That is your brother. That is you. That is, since there is only one, that is the one. So you're looking for the one. Now, in in looking for the one, we do that as a human being too. We try to find the one and only, the one. And we're looking for that everywhere. And it first really appears that way, that I found the one. But that doesn't take too long to recognize, well, that's not the one either. It's like, no, there's some skeletons in the closet, and there's some this and some that, and I really thought this was the one. And in fact, of course it is the one, but you are not allowing yourself to see the one, because you cannot see the one if you don't include yourself in. You're all included in the one. So if you see someone else outside of you, or yourself separated, then you will not be able to see the one. Seeing the one is not perception. Seeing the one is an experience of your totality. So if you see the one, it's the end of you. You could say, like, if you see the one, you're in it. And then the form, the differentiating between this person, for instance, or that person, completely dissolves, because the one is just the one, and you're it, and you're completely included, and you're all that immensity that you cannot imagine, but it is created and it is creating. So anyway, so that's a bit of the red thread through today's, ingredients of this miracle work, the Christmas edition. So, yeah, the warming up for us was listening to some smashing, Christmas songs, and like I said, the warmth and the melting ability of Christmas songs can be really great if you're open to it. It can bring you home right away. It's not a problem at all. And so that's why it's so delicious to take time to do that. And this is a perfect time of the year to do so, apparently. So it is exactly what is given us. So there will be more. But first, let's do a bit of the miracle work, which is now today. I have no idea what I'm seeing. I don't understand what I'm seeing, because nothing seems to make any sense here. That's lesson 3. I do not understand anything I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place. I do not understand anything I see. Apply this idea in the same way as the previous ones, without making distinctions of any kind. Whatever you see becomes a proper subject for applying the idea. Be sure that you do not question the suitability of anything for the application of the idea. These are not exercises in judgment. Anything is suitable if you see it. Some of the things you see may have emotionally charged meaning for you. Try to lay such feelings aside and merely use these things exactly as you would anything else. The point of the exercises is to help you clear your mind of all past associations, to to see things exactly as they appear to you now, and to realize how little you really understand about them. It is therefore essential that you keep a perfectly open mind, unhampered by judgment, in selecting the things to which the idea for the day is to be applied. For this purpose, one thing is like another, equally suitable and therefore equally useful. Wow. Whatever you see becomes a proper subject for applying the idea. So let's do this for just a minute. I do not understand anything I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place. Okay, wonderful. So it does make a lot of sense, doesn't it? To do this exercise. It's like it says here, it's for releasing any kind of idea about past associations. Oh yeah, the point of the exercise is to help you clear your mind of all past associations. So that's really lovely. Since that's the only thing that you see, really. It's like the only thing that you see is based on an idea that you have about, that you know what you see, and you don't. Like I said in the beginning, like you don't see me. If you there's no way that you can see me, because literally the recognition of me would be the end of you, in a sense. Like you cannot see me without completely coming into an experience of oneness, of my, of the one, being the one. So I can talk a lot about that, but it doesn't make too much sense. So that's why I don't do that, and that's why we also do the miracle work. So there's a bit of work to do in order to say get the best, say the only experience, in fact, that confirms your reality. And so it's always interesting in how to fly this, so to speak, because see, it's like everything in the human world, every emotion, every idea of love, or any kind of gift, or who knows what human expression, it is always so twisted, it's always so turned upside down. So that's why this takes a bit of time to unravel the twistedness of what you think is love, and what you think is a gift, and what you think is you, and what you think your brother is. So you see objects in this world, but they're not your brothers. You see bodies walking around, and they're not your brothers. So it's like, yeah, that, how twisted is that? Like how changed is that? So how could you ever come to the realization of your truth? You can ask yourself, and then you believe that there's such thing as time. So it is like, this one is 20 years old, that one is 50 years old, and this one is 100 years old, and so you literally make a whole fabric of associations, a whole fabric of your reality. You confirm it every time you look at it, and you put everything in place, you organize it in time, and it's like the one moment that you're missing is this instant. And this instant is exactly where we're heading to. So this is how completely upside down it is in what you're actually, say, letting come to you in this miracle work. So it's exactly pointing in a different direction. This has nothing, nothing to do with time. This is heading to a moment in which you are released from time. And say, returning back to the atonement, recognizing that at one moment that you are the one, recognizing that one instant that you realize that you are the one, and that moment is forever. See, that's why this can sound really technical or psychological, or that's because, in fact, the whole reversal takes place in your perception. You're going to see that you have no idea what you see. It doesn't make any sense. Like you gave it value, but if you don't do that, it disappears. So this is how psychological it is. It's like you are so anxious about this and that. When you actually take a look at what you're afraid of, and you allow yourself to dive deep into that, it disappears. It is not what it appears to be. The same with your brother, that you hated so much. You didn't actually take a good look at your brother. You didn't allow yourself to become one with your brother. How could you then possibly say anything about him if you see everything but his truth? That doesn't make any sense either. So that's why this forgiveness needs to be total. Anything that you perceive in time is a denial of your true essence. So that's the forgiveness act then that we perform, is in this sense then continuously letting go of any idea that is related to your association with time, with an object in time, with you in time, with something that appears to be outside yourself. This is what we train continuously. And that's a matter of wanting to see it differently. So it comes more and more, it comes down to a choice that you make. I can no longer see this the way I saw it before. It's too painful. It's too painful to think that there are people starving to death not far here from me. It is weird to see that people are dying of diseases within a reach of probably 100 meters. There are people dying of sicknesses. And that should not be me. Like, that has nothing to do with me. I'm separate of that. I have no relationship with that. I have nothing to do with that. It's like this world does not make any sense. And it has no meaning. Yeah, we learn this by the lesson, but are you really seeing that? Like, still you want to choose the parts that you like about it, and certain persons that you like about it, and yeah, you try to say collect that together and call it your life, that everything is okay. You know what I'm saying? It's like that is a very limited, a very littleness review of your life. It's very small. So that's why we come together and practice this. Like, this cannot be it. It simply cannot be it. Like, God did not create this. Like, it doesn't feel like completion. It doesn't feel like wholeness. It doesn't feel like a complete light in glory, so to speak. So there's something wrong here. I don't understand anything what I see. There must be something wrong here in this picture, like because this picture doesn't seem to make any sense, and I don't want to put my trust in what doesn't make any sense. All right, so that's great. Now, the next section that we're diving into with chapter 15 is called The End of Doubt in the Blue Book, or Time and Eternity in the Urtext. So they changed the title from Time and Eternity to The End of Doubt. Now, the end of doubt is a theme that's definitely in here. And time and eternity, that's why I had like, oh, okay, there is a relationship. They must have changed it for a reason. And it's interesting to come into what is actually the difference between the titles. Now, one of the differences between time and eternity is that it puts it in a broader perspective. The end of doubt is taken from the view of in fact, the psychological view of a human being that sees his end of doubt. Like he sees that there's no reason to doubt any longer when you enter into a different experience of yourself that at the same time doesn't have anything to do with the human psyche at all. So that's kind of, yeah, interesting in that sense. So it was received by Helen Schuckman and Bill Tedford. You know, it was received by them, two psychologists. And there was a Kenneth Wapnick related to it too, who also had ideas about how this should be done. So they transformed this title then from Time and Eternity into The End of Doubt. That's interesting. So it's interesting for me to see that. It's like now it becomes practical. Time and eternity is like there's no end to it. It seems like. But the end of doubt is there is an end to doubt. So that's kind of practical. In that sense, it's easier to hear it. Anyway, so that was just my... Alright, time and eternity. We start at the beginning. Yeah, here's the beginning. So it starts with the at-one-ment is in time. At-one-ment is in time, but not for time, because it's more or less like it is remembering that you are the one. So that remembrance takes place in time, but that's also the end of time. Right? That makes sense when I say it like this. Being for you... No, see, this is really lovely. Being for you, it is for the eternal, because you have nothing to do with time. That's only a temporary confusion. That's all. But there's nothing about you that had anything to do with time whatsoever, whenever, never. So the at-one-ment is in time, but not for time. Being for you, it is eternal. It is for the eternal. What holds remembrance of God, yeah, there you go. What holds remembrance of God cannot be bound by time. No more are you. Unless God is bound, you cannot be. So I love the way this is expressed. It's like so watertight, you could say. It's like completely clear. Unless God is bound, you cannot be. And God is not bound, so you cannot be. An instant offered to the Holy Spirit is offered to God on your behalf. And in that instant you awaken gently in Him. So that's the occurrence. An instant offered to the Holy Spirit is offered to God on your behalf. And in that instant you will awaken gently in him. Okay, so far so good. We get this. In the blessed instant, you will let go all your past learning. And the Holy Spirit will quickly offer you the whole lesson of peace. What can take time when all the obstacles to learning it have been removed? Truth is so far beyond time that all of it happens at once. All of time happens at once. For as it was created one, so its oneness depends not on time at all. Be not concerned with time, and fear not the instant of holiness, which will remove all fear. For the instant of peace is eternal, because it is holy without fear. So in the blessed instant you will let go all your past learnings. And what is past learnings? Is all your fear, in fact. Because it's always related to fear and limitation. The instant of peace is eternal, because it is holy without fear. See here, another expression. Be not concerned with time, and fear not the instant of holiness, which will remove all fear. Be not concerned with time. So we're getting ready to leave time behind, and that's an active, decision, or letting go. You could say it's an active act. Letting go. Truth is so far beyond time, like it has really nothing to do with time. And truth is created as one. Okay, so I continue. Blessed is God's teacher, whose joy it is to teach God's Holy Son His holiness. His joy is not contained in time. His teaching is for you because His joy is yours. Through Him you stand before God's altar, where He gently translates hell into heaven. For it is only in heaven that God would have you be. Through Him you stand before God's altar, where He gently translates hell into heaven. For it is only in heaven that God would have you be. So it's like His joy is cannot be contained in time. Like His joy, the joy of the teacher of God, like the joy of your Holy Spirit, has nothing to do with time. So it can also not be experienced in time. The moment you experience your wholeness, that you are the one, you're not in time. It's impossible. And you see that. So this is why I said in the beginning too, it's like, we're starting from out of time. Like in our holy instant, remembering our holiness as an absolute, totally joyous occasion, we're not ruled by time. It has nothing to do with time. The joy is not experienced in this world. The joy is experienced in you. And truth is so far beyond time that it has nothing to do with this. And this is the spiritual part of our training. It's like it has nothing to do with the world. It has nothing to do with improvement of humanhood or solving problems in time. No, this is in fact at the very, very, very end, where you say, this place is impossible and there's no solution here that makes any sense, because this place isn't real. Truth has nothing to do with this place. Now here's my solution. Let gently hell be translated into heaven, right where you are. And how easy is that? let it be translated. You don't have to translate hell into heaven. It is going to be done for you by your decision that you want this to occur to you. So you can turn this around, like I always love to do it, because then it makes it clear. So your choice is to stay in heaven, to stay in hell. That is your choice. You can choose to stay in hell. Nobody's going to stop you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if you want a place of conflict, you found it. You can stay there as long as you want, and you can be as conflictual as you want, and you can say, make the whole world your enemy. That's completely up to you. That's literally what's happening here in what you call your world. Like, the conflict is increasing. You want to hang out there, go ahead. That's your choice. But if you want this to be translated into heaven, gently translated into heaven, let that be done for you by your decision. Yes, this is what I want. I don't want this. Not this. No, I don't want this. I've had enough. Like, I've had enough pain. I've had enough of limitation, of struggle, of conflict, of fear, really. It's like the basis of this idea is fear. And there's a real reason for that. I don't want to get into that right now, but of course there's a reason for it. So things like the things of time are going to be translated into heaven. Not one thing at a time or anything. It's like, no, it's more like suddenly you let go of any kind of idea that you hold in time about yourself, about your brother, about what you think is going on here. And you let your valuation of this be evaluated by the Holy Spirit, and see that it dissolves literally. Just like I said, if you really look at me, for instance, if you really look at me and if you want to see me, you will not be able to do that, because when that recognition comes that you see me, it is the end of you. You disappear right into that, and this is how that is. It's like you enter into a whole idea about yourself where everything is included. Well, it is not the opposite of time. It is not the opposite of this world. No. It is what is true about you. It's like it is the representation. It is the expression. It's the expression of creation. Like I said, I try not to talk about that because it doesn't make any sense to talk about it. So it's a definite experience, and it has nothing to do with time and with this place. Okay, returning back to the sheets. Great support today. And it's lovely to read. Blessed is God's teacher, whose joy it is to teach God's holy Son, His holiness. Like, yeah, let's remember your holiness, because your holiness is not like His joy is not contained in time, and your holiness is beyond compare. Your holiness is all inclusive and total. His teaching, God's teacher's teaching, like the Holy Spirit's teaching, is for you because His joy is yours. Through Him you stand before God's altar, where He gently translates hell into heaven. For it is only in heaven that God would have you be. In the holy instant, you will unchain all of your brothers and refuse to support either their weakness or your own. You refuse to support either their weakness or your own, like your own weakness or their weakness. Weakness in terms of being a separate body, being a victim of the situation, being a person, an entity in time. Oh yeah, like that. You do not realize how much you have misused your brothers by seeing them as sources of ego support. And this is immense. So it's a big mess that you left, you know, it's a big mess that you got yourself into by misusing your brother and seeing them as support for your ego. Seeing them as support for seeing you as the one that you want to be or that you think you are. And that's an immense mess. Do you need examples of that? Like you use your brother continuously, like you have misused, because it's now going to be the last moment that you do it. Like you have misused your brother immensely by thinking that he's a separate entity with his own ideas, thinking that he's a body walking around on this earth, thinking that there's, yeah, like you love him partially, like you quite like him or her, like you quite like your brother, but also are happy when they're not there. Happy in the sense of, well, it's good when they're here, but when they're not here, it's good too. Like this, like a total ambivalent kind of love idea. Yeah, so that's just a couple of examples then, if you want. There's more. Like you leave a big mess by your ability to come to your supposed ability to make a compromise, to accept certain things while you know they are not true, or by being quite honest about what is going on, but never revealing yourself, like exposing yourself in recognition of your holiness, for instance. So yeah, we'll come to that. So I will not walk too fast. But it's lovely stuff. So it's like, it's good to take a look at that. It's not that you're going to be left there. So you do not realize how much you have misused your brothers by seeing them as sources of ego support. So you use your brothers, for instance, to compare yourself with others. You compare yourself, whether that's in the direction of you're never good enough or you're better than others. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. But you use your brothers to place yourself in a scale that doesn't make any sense. It is therefore your choice, here it is, like it is therefore your choice whether they support the ego or the Holy Spirit in you. That is your choice. So you can stay in conflict as long as you want. What I said before is like you can stay in conflict and in this world where you use everything, in fact, to establish yourself as the persona that you're not. Or you can choose, literally, if your brothers are going to, say, recognize or support the Holy Spirit in you. It's your choice whether they support the ego or the Holy Spirit in you. Your true thoughts will bring truth in your reality. Your separate thoughts will bring separation. And the true thoughts that you are thinking are experiences of your oneness, not anything else. It is not an idea like, oh, he's so great, he's so holy, I love him so much. And this kind of thoughts is not what a whole thought is. No, the whole thought is then the experience of you in the recognition of your holiness as well as your brothers. And you will know which you have chosen by their reactions. Now it becomes really, in fact, critically conflictual, or not. And you will know which you have chosen, the Holy Spirit or the ego, in your brother, by their reaction. A son of God who has been released through the Holy Spirit in the brother, if the release is complete, is always recognized. He cannot be denied. As long as you remain uncertain, it can be only because you have not given complete release. Release from what, you ask? Release from all ideas that you have about yourself and your brother and the situation that you think that you are in. If you allow this release to be complete, like that is always recognized. Now, and how difficult is that? So as long as you remain uncertain, it can only be because you have not given complete release. No, okay, so that seems to be a difficult exercise. Like, whoa, that's a little bit above my pay grade. That's too much to ask. And then it's like, no, it's very simple. It is so simple that it's doable. Like, it's absolutely doable. You see, like we started this moment together with listening to some Christmas music. Now here, for instance, you are very gently invited to release yourself, to say fall into a complete collapse of your ideas for just a moment, and have something else come into your awareness of wholeness, of your complete connectedness with your brother. That release, if you allow that to be total, it is noticed. You can feel it, in other words. You can experience it. And you might want to do the same thing, and you should. Why not? So it's like, it's just an invitation to recognize the Holy Spirit at work. Everything that made so much sense up to this point of release suddenly dissolves into nothingness. Like, it doesn't need to be defended anymore. Suddenly you literally fall into a release moment in which something else takes over. Literally, like the light comes into your mind. You feel, you recognize your brother as the most lovely one that you cannot even take a look at without completely, say, dissolving into the heart of God. This is the holiness we're talking about. But also the simplicity in which this can occur. So it's not hard. It is just a matter of, are you allowing yourself to be free of fear? Or do you choose to stay with fear and defend yourself a little bit? Well, that will happen to me one day. Like you're postponing it just out of fear of not allowing that release to be complete. This is how simple that is. And this is your possibility for healing. And it's like, yes, release your ideas about yourself. Give up, because none of this is so. And where you will enter into is like, first you start with your feet in hell, and it's gently being translated into heaven. Why would you not want to experience that? So I don't have to say more about that. But it's so lovely and so simple. And it's not far away. It's not far away in the future. No, it is just available right now. It doesn't need any ideas. It doesn't need any associations. It doesn't need anything of this world, of your thinking about this world or your brother. No, it is still. You have not yet given one single instant completely to the Holy Spirit, for when you have, you will be sure you have. You will be sure because the witness to him will speak so clearly of him that you will hear and understand. So the joy that is related to this actual happening is not of this world, is not experienced here. And that is so great. And you will hear and you will understand. He will speak so clearly, like that's the brightness of your mind. It is so bright in your mind that you can't stand it and completely let yourself be dissolved in it. It feels like, yes, I'm home. Oh my God, who would have known? Why have I been rejecting that or defending my selfhood apart from God? Why did I do that? That's crazy. I love it. You will doubt until you hear one witness whom you have wholly released through the Holy Spirit. And then you will doubt no more. The holy instant has not yet happened to you, but it will, and you will recognize it with perfect certainty, not an inch of a doubt. No gift of God is recognized in any other way. Like it is pure, it is whole, or it's not a gift. So here we say like the holy instant has not yet happened to you, but it will, and you will recognize it with perfect certainty. Now you can say like, well, now I feel a bit of a defense coming up. I think I did experience it. Like, okay, wonderful. So there's no need to defend yourself against this. So if I did not, okay, so this takes care of it. Because I've been looking at these sentences before, long ago, and looking at these sentences, I was a bit offended by them, thinking that it has nothing to do with, like, well, I had such great experiences, I have experienced it. Like, no, so you never experienced this. Why don't you just accept that you never experienced this, but you are willing to experience it now? That would open the door for you. Like, oh, if you stay in your defense, like, well, I really don't like A Course in Miracles because what is in there is really offending me right now. Like, I did have a holy instant and now I'm being rejected by saying, no, you did not experience it yet. Forget it. Like, why don't you just accept what it says? In your acceptance of it, you become open to receive it in a whole new light. And it will be amazing, and it will be, say, new. So choose that, choose that. Okay. Oh my God, I need to hurry up a little bit. I think we're almost there though. The holy instant has not yet happened to you, but it will, and you will recognize it with perfect certainty. No gift of God is recognized in any other way. You can practice the mechanics of the holy instant and will learn from doing so. So the mechanics of the holy instant is really like what meditation could be. It's like, yeah, quieting down my mind, breathing, and taking my attention from this world to my withinness. I'm practicing the mechanics of the holy instant. But its shining and glittering brilliance, which will literally blind you to this world by its own vision, you cannot supply. Like, there's nothing you can do for it. And here it is, all in this instant, complete, accomplished, and given wholly. Its shining and glittering brilliance, which will literally blind you to this world by its own vision, you cannot supply. And here it is, all in this instant, complete, accomplished, and given wholly. It's accomplished, it's complete. It's in this instant, it is given wholly. And its own vision, not your vision, its own vision. Start now to practice your little part in separating out the holy instant. Hey, separating out. Well, I'm good at separating out. Yeah, I can do that. Start now to practice your little part in separating out the holy instant. You will receive very specific instructions as you go along to learn to separate out this single second and begin to experience it as timeless is to begin to experience yourself as not separate. Fear not that you will not be given help in this. God's teacher and his lesson will support your strength. It is only your weakness that will depart from you in this practice, for it is the practice of the power of God in you. So fear not that you will not be given help in this. That's a double negative here. It's like, fear not that you will not be given help in this. You wait for it, how much help there will be. God's teacher and his lesson will support your strength. It is only weakness that will depart from you in this practice. Like the whole idea of that you cannot and that you don't, and that you will never be able to do this, you will never be able to accomplish this, and all this self-doubt, in fact, will disappear. For it is the practice of the power of God in you. Use it, but for one instant. Use this power, you could say, for but one instant, and you will never deny it again. Who can deny the presence of what the universe bows to in appreciation of and gladness? Before the recognition of the universe, which witnesses to it, your doubts must disappear. Who can deny the presence of what the universe bows to in appreciation and gladness? Before the recognition of the universe, which witnesses to it, your doubts must disappear. Like if you catch one glimpse of your holiness, all your doubt will be forever vanished, will be gone. Okay, so now, the last thing then for this moment together is the lesson of today, lesson 335, I think it is. Lesson 335. I choose to see my brother's sinlessness. Forgiveness is a choice. Here we go. I never see my brother as he is, for that is far beyond perception. What I see in him is merely what I wish to see, because it stands for what I want to be the truth. It is to this alone that I respond, however much I seem to be impelled by outside happenings. I choose to see what I would look upon, and this I see, and only this. My brother's sinlessness shows me that I would look upon my own sinlessness, and I will see my own sinlessness, having chosen to behold my brother in its holy light. Well, that's the that's the atonement principle. Recognizing you are the one by seeing that in your brother, by recognizing your oneness with your brother. In that holy light, you recognize it. Excuse me. What could restore your memory to me except to see my brother's sinlessness? His holiness reminds me that he was created one with me and like himself, like myself. What could restore your memory to me except to see my brother's sinlessness? His holiness, like his holiness, reminds me that he was created one with me and like myself as one. In him I find myself, and in your Son I find the memory of you as well. I choose to see my brother's sinlessness. Absolutely. So the rest is all made up. If I want to see something else, that is made up. I can make that my truth for myself, but it is not the truth, and it is pain, and it is limited. But I can also choose to see His holiness beyond perception. You know, it has nothing to do with the characteristics that I see with my eyes, because actually my eyes don't see anything. So that is really lovely. All right, this is the Miracle Work Christmas edition. So I'm going to play another Christmas song, maybe pick one of the favorites that I already heard today, and just allow this moment to be completely fulfilled by recognizing the holy light in my brother, and standing at the altar, letting hell be translated into heaven. Yeah, let's practice that. Why not? Let's allow that. Let's decide for that. So thank you so much for your presence today, and love to see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye for now.